impacted by these tariffs, and then it has that domino effect in that immediate community. Government employees being laid off doesn't just mean that these are people that are, within blocks of the White House or the Capitol building. These are government employees that are being laid off and impacting the communities that they live in outside of Washington, D.C. or Northern Virginia or Western Maryland. So the clock has been ticking. The bell has rung, to use some catchphrases, if you will. But at the end of the day, it's about us being active. It's about us staying focused and being engaged in this process and making sure that we're fighting back. And I will continue to push that part of the conversation because it's what we have to do. And it's why we have people like a Kurt Mullett and a Karen Byrne that are a great part of our show, and a Michelle Peltier, and so many other voices that we've had that are contributors that just one day woke up, not literally, but in part, and said, I got to do something. And this goes back before Trump was elected this second time. And so their voices and so many other voices, and Jody's voice and Sean's voice, and Stephanie and Patty and Joan, Edwin, Rich, everyone, all of us recognize that we have to continue to do the work. We have to continue to be in the fight. So just wanted to keep reminding you guys of that and keep giving you encouragement in that space. All right. I don't know if Henry saw this, but I'm sure Henry did, because Henry sees everything. He has that 180-degree Oscar Robertson vision. In case you guys don't know what that means, Google Oscar Robertson, a guard for the Milwaukee Bucks back in the 70s. Played with Lou Alcindor, a.k.a. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and a number of other 70s players, Bobby Dandridge, and the list goes on. He had better than 180-degree peripheral vision from what all the measurements were. But Henry sees everything. Boy, I was about to go way down. Reeled myself back in real quickly. Henry sees everything. And this is what I'm sure you guys have seen. And I'm just going to say this, and then we're going to go to a break. Oh, my God, Henry. They're talking about renaming a part of the Kennedy Center in the name of a former prostitute, a former pinup model. And some say a person that may have been complicit in some of the Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell dealings. Y'all know who I'm talking about. I mean, literally, it's going to be coming to the stage. Next up on stage is former pinup model and prostitute. And that's a fact. That, I don't have to worry about, allegedly. But we'll put that in there for those of you who are purists. But we know for sure, former pinup model, that ain't there's no allegedly there. And we can say allegedly about the relationship with Maxwell. But they're looking to rename a hall at the Kennedy Center. Wow. Melania Trump. I just when I saw that, and Republican GOP lawmakers, guardians of pedophiles, as Kurt Mullett has labeled them, I just went, okay, they're going to rename an opera house. I guess, yeah, she's done some singing. I could really go there, Henry. Henry's like throwing stuff at me. Not really. He's giving me looks. Don't go there, Chew. Don't go there, Richard. We have to go to a commercial. All right, guys, the number is 773-763-9278. This is the Credo Mobile phone and text line, and this is Chew's Views, and we'll be right back.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-708-3091. 800-708-3091. 800-708-3091. That's 800-708-3091.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
It's Chew's View with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey, progressives, welcome back to the show. Yeah, I almost went down that dark path of, and as Henry put it, there's so many other things that are so important, but this is one that's just like, wow. So anyhow, guys, there's a couple of things that are happening over at Choose Views News on this July 23rd, 2025. GM's earnings mix amid all these tariffs are weighing on them pretty heavily, but General Motors expects to beat their second quarter expectations, pulling in more than $47 billion in revenue and notching a $2.53 earnings per share, despite ongoing tariff turmoil. Both those figures, though, represent a decrease from the year-ago period, and the revenue drop is the company's biggest year-over-year drop since the end of 2021. CEO Mary Barra told shareholders the automaker is working to, quote, greatly reduce our tariff exposure. There you go. Home sale cancellations are rising. Conditions in the housing market are increasingly tilting toward buyers, according to the Redfin analysis. Of late, the cancellation rate for pending home sales hit 14.9% in June, the highest level since the real estate company began tracking that data in 2017. Given the current oversupply of homes for sale, buyers are becoming more selective, and many are backing out of agreements and seeking better deals. However, the home prices near high records and mortgage rates around 6.8%. Some buyers are getting cold feet. There you go. Humana cuts pre-approval mandates. What does that mean? They announced yesterday that they would eliminate approximately 1/3 of prior authorization requirements for outpatient services by 2026. The news comes weeks after a cohort of top health insurers agreed to adjust the controversial pre-approval process that can deny patients access to essential care. Humana will remove the pre-authorization requirement for diagnostic services, including colonoscopies, thoracic endocardiograms, as well as CT scans and MRIs. All right. Los Angeles Times plans to go public. Los Angeles Times this year, billionaire owner Patrick Soon-Shiong said earlier this week, purchased the newspaper for $500 million back in 2018. Did not provide any details on the listing to go public. But if the plans bear out, the California publication would join the New York Times and News Corp, among other major U.S. news organizations that are publicly traded. The Los Angeles Times has struggled financially under Soon-Shiong's ownership, grappled with the staff walkout and high-profile resignations because of the Orange Menace and other bad things from the GOP. Last but not least, AstraZeneca is to invest $50 billion in the United States. It's pledged to invest $50 billion in the United States, in the U.S. in 2030. The latest biopharmaceutical business to ramp up its domestic spending amid threatened tariffs on drug imports. The European drug maker joins Eli Lilly, Novartis, and Bristol Myers Squibb in bolstering its U.S. production efforts. The company's investments will include a $4 billion drug substance manufacturing facility in Virginia dedicated to developing solutions for chronic diseases, including GLP-1 therapies, according to the Wall Street Journal. So good for them. You know, like they said, amid these crazy things going on with the tariffs, it's nice to see that a big company like that is making the effort to make it more reasonable for people who have to have certain medications. So kudos to them for that work. Yeah, guys, I guess I can't leave this thing alone, but I will. But Henry's laughing like, Richard, you can leave it alone, dude. It's okay. I think everybody gets the message. We're going to have some great clips for you in the 6:30 hour that are from our Heartland Signal site and a few others that we put together. Everything from Republican hypocrisy to white supremacy, and some things that are happening in Ohio that you guys will want to be aware of, and commentary from Governor Pritzker, and a gentleman down in Missouri that's just not happy with the fact that there are people who've been elected to office that are defying the will of the voters that elected them. So we have a clip in that space. But a couple of current events that we'll want to talk about, and that let's do this in this order because I know I'll end up talking about something that we just talked about. Trump's DOJ, sudden interest in talking to Ghislaine Maxwell. It smells corrupt and rotten. Why is that? Well, according to all the people that are studying this and reviewing this, it's the Justice Department does not shy away from uncomfortable truths nor from the responsibility to pursue justice wherever the facts may lead. This is coming from Deputy AG Todd Blanche. The joint statement by the DOJ and FBI, July 6th, remains as accurate today as it was when first written, namely, in the recent thorough review of the files maintained by the FBI in the Epstein case, no evidence was uncovered that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. That would be who? Donald Trump. If Ghislaine Maxwell has information about anyone who has committed crimes against victims, the FBI and DOJ will hear what she has to say. Therefore, at the direction of Attorney General Pam Bondi, I have communicated with counsel for Ms. Maxwell to determine whether she would be willing to speak with prosecutors at the department. There you go. So they're going to talk to her behind closed doors, and so many people are saying that it's really about a pardon. See, here's the thing about a pardon. It does. Well, I'm not going to get too deep into that because I don't want to speculate what will come out. So that would be irresponsible of me. However, we know that there is, as the phrase goes, where there's smoke, there's fire, and so maybe we could provide a little linkage in it. And this is what Henry was kind of smiling at me about. Maybe the pinup girl that's going to have a opera hall named after her. And the woman that's about to testify in front of the, or go in front of the DOJ's and the FBI, maybe there's going to be a pardon for Ms. Maxwell, the woman that made it clearly difficult for young girls to mature without having old men put their hands on them. I'm putting it in that literal sense because I go back to what my good friend Sarah Jones said on Monday about this is really about the abuse of young girls and women as much as, if not more, than about the cover-up. Okay? So, maybe this is a way of, once again, buying off people who have information. Ms. Maxwell gets a pardon, and the pinup girl gets an opera hall named after her. Maybe. Listen, you guys might think I'm crazy, but this is the same regime. This is the same regime that has been rounding up people who were on their way to get their proper certification taken care of for being a citizen in the United States. So don't put it past them, y'all. Please don't come at me with, oh, Chew, they're not gonna do that. That's not what's happening. Don't come at me with that garbage. Just please do not. Just don't, because you all know better than that. You've seen like what Scott Pelley said about government employees in that quick clip. You know, they're firing government. They're going to do anything to protect their quote unquote corrupt, awful, disgusting brand. You want to tell me they're going to Henry, you saw this where they're burning 500 tons of is it the right, whatever the amount is, of food that they say have spoiled, and this is the part of So if they're going to do that and they're going to, take away necessary items for people who need them to survive on in terms of that food, or if they're going to do things as it relates to this bill, I mean, the list goes on, guys. Don't tell me that they wouldn't offer Maxwell a pardon and Melania a pinup girls opera house. Don't even go there, because you all know that they very well would do that. A couple other current events. Full-blown cover-up. GOP may shut down the House for 6 weeks. So I saw something that was really cool. And I'll say this quickly because I know we're coming to the bottom of the hour. I saw this one, Henry, which I thought was really kind of interesting. That there, some people have said on social media, well, if the House is going to shut down for 6 weeks and to avoid, the Epstein conversation and files and all these other things that they're not going to get done and they should be doing in this very perilous time. Some people have said on social media, well, until I get my view of the Epstein files, I'm not paying taxes. I'm not going to tell you to go that far, but I get where people are. There's nothing wrong or crazy about it. I get where people are in this. They're like, wait a minute, I want to know. And if you guys can go home and not be, quote, working in Washington, they go home, we know that they're going to be doing a variety of things. Number one is probably, particularly the GOPs, out there telling lies or either hiding. If they're out and about with their constituents, they're going to be telling lies. They are, making up stuff and not answering questions. But more than likely, they're going to be running and hiding. Ordering in a lot so they don't have to go out in public. Cooking in the backyard so they don't have to go out in public. But is it... Henry's like, yeah, that's true. They just... where's that smoke coming from the back of Mike Johnson's backyard? Oh, yeah. And last but not least, before we hit this break, Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan. The GOP has got some really... disgusting folks based on their behavior. He sat for deposition last week, as you guys may have heard. And this is all about this sex scandal going back to the Ohio State days and the team doctor that was doing what many have accused Trump and Epstein and others of doing, and that's abusing young folks, students, kids. But they'll show up in church on Sunday. Well, I don't know about church, but Trump, the building would burn down. But in any event, let's take a quick break, guys. I'm snarkiness. It happens on Wednesdays because when I see Henry, he kind of releases the Kraken in me. So we're going to take a quick break, guys. The number is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views on the Credo mobile phone and text line, and we'll be right back.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on home insurance by checking Allstate first.
Hold it.
Like to check the assembly instructions first.
Hold it.
Before building the bookcase.
And done. Whew. You can let go.
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Potential savings vary. Allstate Vehicle and Property Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us, too, in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. A heat advisory will go into effect here later today. We'll see mostly sunny skies here for today with a high in the mid-90s. Winds out of the southwest around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 20. And then for tonight, partly cloudy skies, a low near 78. By Thursday, we'll have a chance for showers and thunderstorms here late. Blend of clouds and sunshine develops high around 97 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 73.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
You're listening to Choose View with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey, progressives, welcome back. Liberals, Democrats, Republicans, GOPers, and all the folks that are trying to find their way into our big tent. Today, live, local, and progressive Joan Esposito will be joined by Chicago TV newsman and political reporter Mike Flannery, Greg Hintz, I should say Greg Hines, I always get that wrong, columnist for Chicago's Business, and John Fugelsang, comedian and host, of course, author of the forthcoming book, Separation of Church and State, A Sane Person's Guide to Taking Back the Bible from Fundamentalist, Fascist, and Flock-Fleecing Frauds. There you go. Mouthful. Live, local, and progressive weekdays 2 to 5 here on WCPT, Chicago's Progressive Talk for 20 years. Tonight on Driving It Home, Patty's guests will include Jesse Rojo, candidate for Illinois State Representative in District 52, Mike Cobbs, chairman of the Kankakee Democratic Party, Tennessee State Rep Afton Bean, who is running for Congress in the 7th District special election, which is the primary. The primary is October 7th. Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, weekdays 5 to 7 here on WCPT, AM 820, the Heartland Signal website, TuneIn, YouTube, Facebook. Tomorrow, we are fully loaded tomorrow, and I want to say this about tomorrow's show and then ask you guys to kind of be a little bit participants. So here's what I mean. Tomorrow, we have Tamar Jacoby, the director of the New Ukraine Project at the Progressive Policy Institute. Looking forward to speaking with her, and I believe she'll be calling from Ukraine, if that's right, Henry. And then some names you guys will really recognize. Amy McGrath, political and national security analyst, former fighter pilot in the United States Marine Corps, combat veteran, and founder of Democratic Majority Action PAC, and co-host with Denver Riggleman of the Politics and National Security podcast, Truth in the Barrel. And then in the 7:30 hour, we'll have Joe Walsh, former Illinois congressman and former Republican, who will be with us to chat about a lot of things. So here's what I wanted to put to you guys. This is the first time we'll have a conversation with Joe, and I'm looking forward to talking with him and asking him some questions about a variety of things. But you guys know who Joe Walsh is, and I would like to have you guys contribute a little bit. So today, if you get a chance, email me, preferably. Even if it's this morning, you can text me. Questions that you might be curious about with Joe Walsh. Okay? I'm just curious. I'm curious what you're curious about. So if there's questions you might want me to ask him, send them to me. Email them to me today and or text them to me this morning while we're on the air, and I will put those into my list and see if we can get to those questions. So just wanted to give you guys an opportunity to be participants in that tomorrow. So there you go. Let's grab a quick call. Let's go to our good friend Butch in Elmhurst. Hey, good morning, Butch, and welcome to Choose Views.
Good morning, Elmhurst. Good morning, Richard, I should say. Yes, good morning. The glorious morning, the sun is rising, and just slightly to the north. I'd like to make 3 quick points, and then you can comment, question, and or pick me off the show. No.
Go ahead.
3 quick comments. One of them is what we're dealing with here in this administration, this regime, as you call it, is everyone in the regime, especially sitting at the top, are classless pieces of trash. Well, every one of them are useful idiots to the Heritage Foundation. Now, what the Heritage Foundation is, real quick, is John Birch's Heritage Foundation, established 1973. Their omelet bar. You know what their motto is since 1973? You got to crack a few eggs to make an omelet. Okay, that's their ultimate goal, corporate communism with a fascist frontman, okay, which is what we got right now, number one. Number two, when you hear this conversation with Republicans in general, and it started a while ago, but you hear when they say you're either with us or against us, I always say, wait a minute, I got a third choice for everybody. They say, I'll never be with you. So that's the third choice. I say, why? Because you're dishonest, pathological liars, hell-bent on deception and destroying this country for the rich people for some unknown reason, sacrificing 99% if necessary.
Yeah.
And the third thing, I think to show great unity in this country, and it's so simple, and I started this last year with the White Sox and the Bears. I've got little flags of each of them. I hang them upside down on my clothesline. These are signs of distress.
Yeah.
I also recently went to the dollar store, or now $1.25 by my house. Not too bad. And I also bought several American flags. I'm hanging one upside down on my clothesline next to my Bear and White Sox. I'm planning on turning the Bear one around in September. And number two, we also put one in our front window. I think it'd be a national sign of unity. You don't have to say a word. We're neither with you or against you. We'll never be with you. Put the American flag upside down. We still have the American flag. It's for the rank and file, not for these rich robber barons who built this country. It's for the people who died building this country, who died in wars. That's what the American flag is for. The rank and file have never been the problem in this country, period, and including today and now.
But we are the solution. But here's the thing, Butch. To your point, we are the solution. And that's one of the reasons, and I said what I said at the beginning of the show. We're the solution. You know, love it or hate it, we are the solution.
We're the 99% solution. That's outrageous in anybody's book, percentage-wise.
It is.
We got 99% on our side if necessary. I can come up with reasons how he's offended at least 99% of the population, if not more, 99.6.
And not necessarily all at the same time, but at some point.
Oh, of course not. No, of course, because pathological liars tell 5 different versions of the same story. So the rest of us fight amongst ourselves while he laughs all the way to the bank.
Yeah.
This is the most corrupt, openly corrupt. This is an open coup because what we have here, their goal ultimately, somebody asked me, what's their ultimate goal, is to privatize the government, which is what I call communism. No disrespect to the communists, who I don't care for, with a fascist frontman. Because you know what, Richard? It takes an evil man to push a Christian white nationalist plan, no matter what country it is, and to be the fascist frontman for the Heritage Foundation. Its whole administration, from his press secretary to everybody in there, are all part of the Heritage Foundation, and even guys that are still hiding underground. The Richard Deals and the guy that wants. That guy wants what's that? The island out there that they want to take.
Greenland.
Richard Thiel wants it. That's his gift.
You mean Peter Thiel? Peter Thiel. Yeah.
Richard, Peter, it's all the same to me, Richard. You know what I'm saying.
I know what you mean. No, I know what you mean. I figured.
Anyway, Richard, and I'll tell you what. If I had to sum up this entire administration in 6 months, 100% of what this evil clown and his regime are doing is unnecessary. Number one, from all the money that was already put out there for all these every agency they shut down. The money was already approved.
Yeah.
What are they doing with this money? No, they're adding to the national debt. I'd be interested to know how they're hurting 99%. What are they doing with all this money they're saving?
That's right. Where's it? The question.
I'd like to know, Richard. I'd like to know.
All right, Brew. Right. Thanks so much, Butch. You got it out this morning.
You're a nice man, Richard. As I'll leave you with this proverb. It's an old Gaelic proverb. I hope you never change unless you want to, you have to, or you're forced to by local ordinance, in which case I'd move. Have a good day, Richard.
Thanks, man. All right. Butch is getting it out this morning. He had a few things to say, but good on him for getting it out and making it clear that this is unacceptable. And this regime is exactly it's exactly how I described. I mean, it's selfish, it's self-centered, it's chaotic driven. The chaos gets people tired, and then it turns people off, and people kind of run for cover. Yeah, it's all of that which Butch said, and so many other things. But the one thing it's not going to take us down if we don't let it. To Butch's point, we're 99% of the 99% of us are the solution if we just decide to go ahead and be the solution. So there you go. Okay, so Heartland Signal has some great posts always, as you guys hear me say every day, but particularly right now, some things that are happening that I want you guys to be aware of. Our Democratic governors are doing the work. They have been for a long time, but particularly going back to the right after the election. And Governor J.B. Pritzker is certainly been one to lead the way, and not to be outdone by his colleagues that are Democratic governors, but he has joined the Democratic governors in fighting against Trump's tariff policies in a couple of very specific ways. Last week, you guys may know, and this is an article written by Richard Eberwine at our Heartland Signal digital platform, and one you should read. Last week, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker signed an executive order directing state agencies to evaluate the impact of President Donald Trump's tariffs and the potential economic impact on consumers right here in the state of Illinois. So I'll give you some of the high points of this, and is working with other states to stand up for people and protect our economies when we can. The order directs the state agencies to assess multiple economic impacts, including stabilizing food assistance programs, preparing for medical supply chain disruptions, and identifying business vulnerabilities and workforce disruptions. The move adds Pritzker to a list of Democratic governors who have taken action against the sweeping tariffs and which have caused confusion and panic since Trump took office in January. Trump has repeatedly paused implementing tariffs, but the administration's recent set August 1st as a, quote, hard deadline for them to go into effect. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick earlier this month said that smaller countries would have a baseline rate of 10%, while others like Canada could be taxed 35%. All right. So these are, let's see. All right. In May, Washington Governor Bob Ferguson, Democrat, led an effort to block Trump's tariffs by filing an amicus brief supporting a multi-state lawsuit against the effort. And Governor J.B. Pritzker here in Illinois is one of the leading voices in that. And so it's always great to have him doing the work that he's doing, and we remain proud of what he does in this process. There's a tinge of racism and sexism in the tariffs based on the countries who are receiving them, or they're being levied against, and the nature of those countries. But there's most definitely in this bill an incredible amount, this awful bill, an incredible amount of racism, sexism, frankly, and economic imperialism in this bill. And what do I mean by economic imperialism as it ties into racism and sexism? Single moms are going to be deeply impacted by this. I think that's a sexist, that has tinges of sexism in there. It says that if you're not married, you should be punished. If you're a woman and you're not married, you should be punished. There's a lot of Republicans, a lot of folks in the GOP, and specifically those that are part of Project 2025's authorship, the Russell Vaughts of the world and many others, that's what they see, that's what they believe. This sort of religious purity. That's the sexism part of the bill. The racism part is obvious. Folks of color, and there's a certain amount of ageism in this bill. But the sexism and the racism and some of the economic imperialism is my three watermarks. The economic imperialism part, what do I mean by that? If you're not rich, we don't care about you. We want to head fake you into thinking that we do by speaking the right words. We're down with the everyday man and woman. We're going to help the middle class and the working people of America. No, they're not. They're full of a bunch of BS. They just are. And to Butch's point, frankly, so those three things are sort of the tipping point of part of my a couple of clips that we're going to play for you. I'm going to start with one that is straight out of an ad that the conservatives are running in the state of Ohio, which is another state that's just unfortunately kind of gone in this weird direction. But there's an ad that they're running in Ohio, and once we play this clip and we come back, we'll talk a little bit about it. So, Henry, let's hit them with that conservatives launch. Is that's in the conservative Ohio ads? Okay, we'll let Henry find that. I thought we had that one ready, and then we'll come back to that. But the conservative imperialism, as I said a moment ago, it's about if you aren't in that 1%, then we really don't care about you. We only care about what you can do for us. And that's vote us into office so that we can then turn around and go back on the campaign promises that we made. That's part of the Republican playbook. There is no question about that. It is built into their DNA right now. And the reason that it's so clear, it's that so many people are becoming aware of it, is that this bill makes it clear that we've taken away, or we're going to continue to take away, so many things from you guys. And if you're not in our category of our class, then we're going to take more away from you. So that's one of the things. We will take a quick break. And when we come back, we will have some other information I want to share with you guys. Let's take a quick break, Henry. 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views on the Credo mobile phone and text line, and we'll be right back.
This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. During the Civil War, 11% of the Confederate Army was made up of enslaved men forced to join. One of these men was Robert Smalls. Smalls was a deckhand on the Confederate supply ship known as the Planter. During his time, Smalls learned as much as he could about navigating the ship so he and others could escape. And on May 13th of 1862, while officers were sleeping, Smalls, along with 16 others, took the Planter out of the Charleston harbor, navigating through all 5 checkpoints while heading to open waters looking for the Union blockade. Smalls raised a white flag of surrender, letting Union soldiers board the ship, giving them guns, ammo, and documents about planned Confederate attacks. Being a wealth of information, Smalls was given the role of the Union Navy captain. Stories like Smalls are one of the many factors convincing President Lincoln to allow free African Americans to serve in the Union Army. This has been a WCPT Veteran Minute.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
It's Choose Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey, Progressives, welcome back to the show. Henry, let's hit him with the clip from Justin Jones, Heartland, on MSNBC, the Tennessee state rep. Did that one come up? No? Okay. That's all right. Not a problem. Okay, so one of the things that is clear right now with regard to what I said earlier about the way in which Republicans are leaning into racism and leaning into sexism and economic imperialism is built off of the fact that a lot of people just don't understand what and how so much of this conversation around white supremacy has been developed and where it comes from and how people are, I guess you could say, how they've not pulled themselves out of the conversation, or how they don't even take the time to try to figure out, how did I ever get to this way of thinking when it comes to what so many people are using as white nationalism as a label. Or white supremacy. And I don't buy into the white supremacy, because I've said this so many times before. No one is supreme to me, and I'm not supreme to anyone else. So this white supremacist labeling, or white supremacy labeling, for me is something that's just kind of it's a phrase that just by saying it is, in and of itself, it gives a sort of an entitlement of labeling to white Americans. And many folks who are white Americans don't like it, because they don't look at white supremacy as a thing that they want to associate themselves with. But I came across an interesting clip that I think you guys can appreciate, that talks about how people got here, or how people's thinking got here when it comes to white supremacy. and how that's a part of where we are right now with some of the decisions that are being made by the GOP, whether it be immigration, whether it be bills in different states, whether it be how they're behind the closed doors trying to implement Project 2025. So, Henry, let's hit them with that real quick clip.
How can someone be a white supremacist and not even know it? Easy. Most are. White supremacy isn't just swastikas and burning crosses. It's the belief, conscious or not, that whiteness is the default, the standard, the norm, and most white folks were trained to see it that way from birth, even if no one sat them down and said, being white is better. Think about these issues. If you think of black names as unprofessional, if you get uncomfortable when race is mentioned, if you've said, well, I didn't own slaves, if you think racism is about bad intentions instead of systems, if you see injustice and your first worry is tone, not harm, that's not neutrality. That's how white supremacy survives. But here's the deal. It's not about shame. It's about honesty. If you've inherited a broken system, and we all did, your job is not to feel guilty. Your job is to notice, unlearn, and stop passing it on. So before you say, I'm not one of those white people, ask yourself, am I holding up this system without even realizing it?
I think that that there's a lot to be measured there. I'll say it this way. There's a lot to be measured there because a lot of people just don't know. And so when you hear people talk about, let's have mass deportation, let's get rid of these people that are, the Stephen Miller's comment about, we want to get our country's population down to 100 million of the real Americans. That's all based in this conversation around, quote unquote, white supremacy, or this imperial belief that, this imperial economic belief that if you don't have, then you shouldn't have. And you can't get away from it, America. You just cannot get away from it. You might try to turn your head away from it, but it comes back every time you look at the things that are passed legislatively by the Republicans. And I don't mean just on a federal level. I'm talking about on a state level. And the proof in the pudding is when voters in a particular state, they vote for a thing to happen that's to benefit people. And many times it's around wages. Sometimes it's around social benefits and conditions. But we have this other clip from a gentleman out of Missouri that talks about a bill that was passed. It was put in place by the voters. And then the GOP came in and they said, well, we're going to deny that bill. We're going to change it up. Listen and check this out.
You guys are going to want to hear this, especially the people who live in Missouri, because 8 months ago, the people of Missouri voted for something very clear. They wanted guaranteed paid sick leave for workers and automatic cost of living raises to the minimum wage. It was called Proposition A, and it passed in November with 58% of the vote. And yesterday, Governor Mike Kehoe just, signed a bill to erase it, repeal it, gone. Overwritten by the Republican legislature once again and thrown into the trash like your vote didn't matter. The law had already gone into effect, people. In May, workers were already earning sick leave, and in just a few weeks, on August 28th, that right gets completely wiped out. They also killed the inflation adjustment to the minimum wage, which was meant to keep up with the cost of living because it hasn't been. And that's gone too. Guys, this wasn't a policy change. This was a power move. Lawmakers are legally allowed to repeal ballot initiatives that aren't constitutional amendments, and they just used that loophole against you. It canceled out the majority of what voters wanted, pretty much. And this is what voter suppression looks like, though, in 2025. You cast your vote, you win, and then they undo it behind closed doors. And the worst part, well, they're already preparing to fight against any future constitutional amendment that might bring these protections back for Missourians. Because they know if it goes back to the people, they'll fucking lose. If this doesn't make you furious, it should. I don't know why it wouldn't. Because this isn't just about Missouri, guys. It's a warning to every state that lets voters make laws. If your leaders can erase your vote the second it inconveniences them, then democracy's broken.
Once again, as you said, a power move. It's about that. This is that economic imperialism, in my observation, whether it be people who have voted for a certain bill or legislation to be in place to then have them come behind and tear it apart, or it's the belief that because we are of a certain ilk, whiteness, that we're better than everybody else. And that to me, goes back to the whole conversation around why the Democratic Party's ideas are better than the GOP's ideas. Not perfect, but the Democrats are taking away opportunities and legislation to support people like the GOP has been doing. And this is Missouri is a red state right now, and that's exactly what they've done to the people there. So Missourians and other red state folks, you got to wake up, because it's not the Democrats that are coming for your stuff. It's the Republicans that are coming for your stuff. And this is one of those examples. And it'll happen in other states. And I know that when Kurt comes on in the next half hour, we'll talk about some of the things that are happening in his red state. But we may talk about some other stuff because the man's been posting like a banshee. Let's take a quick break, Henry. The number is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views on the Credo mobile phone and text line. Top of the hour, but we'll be right back.
Check up on health with Chris Whitting.
If you're a parent of a teen, chances are you think your kid does not use alcohol or marijuana. And there's a very good chance that you're wrong. According to Dr. Bernard Bierman from the Department of Psychiatry at the University of Michigan.
We did a national poll where we interviewed hundreds of parents from around the country and asked whether they suspected or perceived that their child had used either alcohol or marijuana in the past year. Only 10% of parents believed that their child had used alcohol in the past year, and only 5% of those parents perceived that their child might have used marijuana in the past year. So we thought that those numbers were pretty low. And when you ask kids themselves whether they'd used alcohol or marijuana, 52% of 10th graders reported that they had used alcohol in the past year, and 28% said that they had used marijuana.
With Checkup on Health, I'm Chris Whitting.
Progressive Insurance, with insurance for cars, home, boat, motorcycles, RVs, and commercial vehicles at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com.
AP News, I'm Mike Hempen. Charges have been filed after a driver rammed his car into a crowd outside of a Los Angeles nightclub.
Los Angeles County District Attorney Nathan Hochman announced charges against 29-year-old Fernando Ramirez on Tuesday in what's alleged to be a deliberate car crash over the weekend that hurt 37 people.
37 counts of attempted murder and 37 counts of assault with a deadly weapon, the deadly weapon being the car.
Ramirez was later found to have been shot in the lower back.
He is accused of intentionally driving his car onto the sidewalk near the Vermont Hollywood, a popular venue.
LA Police Chief Jim McDonnell.
It is truly a miracle that nobody was killed that night.
The suspect has a criminal history, including an aggravated battery conviction in 2019, and records show he had domestic violence and drunken driving cases pending. Audio courtesy ABC 7 Los Angeles. I'm Jennifer King.
President Trump has announced a trade deal with Japan.
It's a great deal for everybody.
President Trump telling Republican lawmakers at the White House Tuesday night,
I just signed the largest trade deal in history. I think maybe the largest deal in history with Japan.
The framework places a 15% import tax on Japanese goods, a meaningful drop from the 25% rate Trump had said he would impose starting August 1st. Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba acknowledged the agreement, saying it will benefit both countries. Trump's announcement came hours after he struck a deal with Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. That would impose a tariff of 19% on Filipino goods, while American-made products would face no import taxes. And Trump told lawmakers,
we have Europe coming in tomorrow and the next day. We have some other ones coming in. We're doing things that have never been done in this country before, and our country is becoming very rich again.
Ben Thomas, Washington.
Health officials say Israeli airstrikes overnight have killed 25 people across Gaza. This is AP News. A tennis icon has become the oldest woman to win on the WTA Tour in 21 years.
Venus Williams has become the oldest woman to win a tour-level singles match since Martina Navratilova. Williams delivered some of her familiar big serves and ground strokes at age 45 while beating Peyton Stearns, a player who is 22 years younger, by a 6-3, 6-4 score on Tuesday at the DC Open. Navratilova was 47 in 2004 when she won for the final time time. The former number 1 ranked Williams had not played an official singles match since March 2024 in Miami, missing time while having surgery to remove uterine fibroids. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
Archaeologists have identified a 250-year-old shipwreck uncovered on a remote Scottish island. Research shows it's an 18th century naval warship called the Earl of Chatham. I'm Mike Hempen, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. A heat advisory will go into effect here later today. We'll see mostly sunny skies here for today with a high in the mid-90s. Winds out of the southwest around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 20. And then for tonight, partly cloudy skies, a low near 78. By Thursday, we'll have a chance for showers and thunderstorms here late. Blend of clouds and sunshine develops high around 97 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 75.
DQ presents How to Make Your Summer Take Flight. Just head into DQ for a new Superman Cake Batter Cookie Dough Blizzard Treat. Treat your inner hero to an epic mix of sugar cookie dough, sprinkles, and cake batter flavor. Blend it all with legendary DQ soft serve, and it's enough to tempt Superman himself. Fly into DQ for our new Superman Cake Batter Cookie Dough Blizzard Treat before it's gone. And don't miss Superman, only in theaters July 11th. DQ, happy tastes good. Only at participating locations.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
Welcome back to Chew's Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820 AM, where facts matter. Take it away, Richard.
So we're going to offer the following deal. If you've been in America for more than 5 years, if you have children who are American citizens or legal residents, if you register, pass a criminal background check, and you're willing to pay your fair share of taxes, you'll be able to apply to stay in this country temporarily without fear of deportation. You can come out of the shadows and get right with the law.
Dignity Bill is the answer. And here's how it works. If you are undocumented and you have been in the country for more than 5 years, you do not have a criminal record, you're working and paying taxes, you can come out of the shadows with no fear and apply for the dignity status.
And that is Republican hypocrisy. Welcome to the show, our good friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. You like it when I do that to you.
I love it. I love it.
So it's Wednesday, y'all. Kurt, welcome to the show. I'll let you talk about that clip. I'll let you be the narrator of that clip because it comes from the Hoosier Blue 63 cliptum.
Cliptum, yeah. Okay, so the first voice you heard there was obviously our great president, Barack Obama. And the second voice you heard there was Representative Maria Elvira Salazar from Florida. And what this is plagiarism, in its purest form. Barack proposed this, I think it was called the Immigration Accountability Act, back on November 20th, 2014. Okay? And you heard his words, and you can play it for people again if they missed some of it. But basically saying, hey, if you're here and you're abiding by the law and you're paying your taxes, we'll grant you, citizenship status, or we'll grant you legal documentation status. Right. And it sat in Congress for a year and a half or so, and they didn't do anything, didn't even put it up for a vote, just let it die, and, end of discussion. So then Maria comes out, and she talks about how she's got this new Dignity Act that she's putting forward. And as you can hear there, you can come out of the shadows. I mean, I've never heard such a. Have you ever heard anything like this before, where
Well, they're good at plagiarizing.
It's like she took. It's unbelievable what she did. And for people who don't know who she is, she's the gal last year who went on a Miami radio or a news station for an interview, and the guy confronted her about her taking credit for a check that she wrote at FIU for some structures they were building on a bill that she didn't vote for, that she voted against.
She voted against.
and she said, "Well, I'm going to have to talk to my, my staff," and and he's like, "Well, you don't know what you voted for,
right?" How do you show up for these interviews, GOP guardians of pedophiles, and then not be prepared or be aware? Because either it's one of two things: if you're not prepared or aware of what it is, that's one thing. But the other side of it is you just flat out lie. You know exactly what it is, which they do, and then you're going to tell the lie to buy yourself time so that you can then not do another interview and not respond when they reach out to you to say, can we get some comments from you? We know how it happens. But this particular situation on immigration reminds me, Kurt, you remember last late summer that President Biden had put together the bill to go to Congress regarding the immigration changes at the southern border. Chocked full of upside opportunity, money, resources, and all the rest, ways of taking stress and pressure off of ICE agents and all the rest. And then Trump got word of it and went to Mike Johnson and said, you can't let this bill go forward. And even Langsford, the senator from Oklahoma, I believe I got that right, stepped up and said, this thing would have been a huge move in the right direction, solution-oriented, et cetera, But the dumb A's in MAGA and the GOP, and I'm talking about the voters, so I am coming after some of the voters, thought that Trump's involvement, first of all, many of them said, oh, no, that's not true. He didn't block the bill. Then when Langsford came out and said, well, yeah, he did, a Republican senator came out, he caught hell from the GOP and from MAGA voters. But the reality is it was yet another situation where Democrats came up with a solution for a concern that we all have when it comes to immigration, was ready to put it forward that would have been helpful for so many people. And then Republicans squashed it. Now, in this case, they're trying to take credit for something that was already an opportunity to move forward. But the Republicans in the House in 2014 wouldn't let the bill. We weren't able to get that bill across the floor. So it's it's either plagiarism or obstruction.
I'm sure she took this bill and just changed the title of it and put her name at the bottom of it, and it's probably got the exact same things that Barack Obama had put forth as an idea before it. And that bipartisan bill that you were talking about, it was touted as one of the strongest bipartisan bills ever put together in the history of our country when it comes to immigration. And Joe even gave up some things and made some recessions on it just so he could get this bill put together and be put forth to Congress. This just proves, though, and this is where Republicans just don't get it. They never will. History shows you can do some simple research. It doesn't take a genius to find this stuff out. I can find it out. So, obviously it's something easy you could do. The history in our Congress and in our nation is Republicans continuously block border funding, immigration laws, and anything that has to do with reform of immigration. They want the chaos. They want this issue to be, and I truly believe now, I'm beginning to think they have done this all along because in the back of their mind, they knew what was coming forward. They knew, or what was coming ahead. They knew what was coming down the road. They understood what was happening with the Heritage Foundation and what they were planning on doing once they got everything together. And I truly feel this has been their plan for a long time, and that's the one thing you got to hand it to them. They have been extremely organized and on the same page when it has come to taking these steps to get to where they are today. So that's the one thing about it, and those are facts. You can look them up. It doesn't matter. Republicans continuously kill border bills and immigration. So
so I gotta bring you into the conversation that I'm that I've been having. Not conversation I've been having, but This is around immigration and border security, southern border security. We have to be very clear about. We've got 4 borders. There are people that follow you and follow me that say that we are defending illegal immigrants. I've had people send me communications that say, Chew, you're defending illegal immigrants and they are stealing resources from the black community. Now, unless that person's black, and I don't know this person's demographic, but unless they're black, don't tell me what's happening to black folks in the black community. One, it's kind of like with women. Don't tell women what's going on if you're not a woman, guys. But I want to ask you this question. Do you think that I am supportive of illegal, and I don't like to use the word illegals, because typically what people are referencing are people that are coming from southern border countries that are the illegals. I never hear a Caucasian person in America talk about illegals that come from Europe or that are here illegally still because of their green card status. So I'm just curious. You tell me, Kurt, if you think I am supporting, through my conversation about immigration reform, supporting illegals coming into the black community and stealing resources from the black community.
Well, I know you're asking me this question for conversation, and my answer is absolutely no. You're not. I'm not. Nobody is. But I find are people that are saying that to you, are they white guys?
I don't know. I don't want to make any assumptions about that.
Right. But chances are, because, there's a lot of stupid white guys in this country, and I'm going to say that. I know you don't like using that word, but there's a lot of stupid white guys in this country. I'm surrounded by them. My neighborhood has them all over the place. So white guys, yeah, and I'm a white guy, just so everybody knows. I'm sure you could tell by my voice, but hey, I'm a white guy. So, there's stupidity in our race. It's running rampant, and it's worse than it ever has been before. I find it funny when you talk to people, white people, about immigration. You are exactly right. The only immigrants that they refer to are those of color, okay? It has nothing to do with, or I should say that don't look white, okay?
Stephen Miller, the original Americans.
Yeah. Whether it's a white Russian or, somebody from Yugoslavia or, Hungary or Sweden or wherever. It's people that are from, Mexico and the Middle East and South America and Asian countries. It's people like that. Those are the ones they're talking about, and those are the ones that they call illegal immigrants or illegal aliens or whatever stupid term they want to use. So I can flat out tell you, by having conversations with white people, they're stupid when it comes to the actual facts of the thing, and it's basically they're just showing the racism.
Yeah, there's a
and
few,
you and I have talked about this before.
There's a few people that like to try to lace it up on me and say that I am supporting illegals in the country and coming to black communities and stealing resources. I'm like, okay, go have a drink or something, because that one just tickles me.
Yeah.
It's just like
coming from the dudes now that support pedophiles.
Exactly.
And even astonishing.
And this is what cracks me up sometimes. I ask the question: is this person sort of like a very sophisticated algorithm that's a bot? I mean, I do ask that question because I think, what the hell have you been listening to if you've listened to this show? What the hell have you been listening to? But that being said, I just had to ask you that question. Hey, man,
a lot of them are bots.
Very sophisticated ones too.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So we were talking about this clip that you had posted with regard to Barack in 2014 and Salazar in 2025, and she's in one of the districts that I talked about yesterday. That's a gettable district in this next cycle. So this is an opportunity for the Democrats in Florida to tie this around her waist and let her walk around with it. So I'm hoping that the Dems pick up on it. Got to ask you a question about another one of your great posts this week, and And it's interesting because, I mean, many times you talk about how the voice needs to just be flat out clear. And I say the same thing. It needs to be unfiltered. Some people just need to say it without the filter. And this week, you heard me talk about it. I haven't posted it or put it on as a clip because there's just, it would put Henry and or Devin through too much work to have to bleep it out. But I will never be upset with a person, son or daughter, defending their father. And Hunter Biden made it absolutely clear that, love him or hate him, he was going to defend his dad and his belief of his dad's career and dedication to this country. And the way in which he people forget that Hunter Biden, irrespective of the issues with drugs and all the things that he's suffered through and the addictions and all that this dude has a law degree, top lawyer, and a professor. He was never a stupid person. He did a stupid, harmful thing to himself and has done his best to own it. But that interview that he did with that young kid from Channel 5, boy, was it ever powerful. It was filled with a lot of not only anger and frustration at a lot of people, which I think was appropriate, but it was also filled with a lot of data. That's the part that people, I think, missed. Not missed, but it's because of his F-bombs. There's a lot of data in that interview if people slow down and just listen to the content of what he says.
Absolutely. I mean, I've had some people comment on it, and I had one individual who's actually a lawyer, and she said addiction is a real thing, and there are 12 steps to it. And I found him to be extremely angry and had a lot of anger built up inside of him, or along those lines is what she said. And I said, well, I understand that and I get that, but I can understand also where the anger comes from. I mean, this guy, as far as a private citizen, I try to think about how many private citizens have been put under the microscope and just drilled like Hunter Biden has been over the last 4 years. And just like he said, he listed all of the courts and all of the districts and everybody who has come after him, and nobody has been able to really prove anything except for his personal stuff. And he admitted, I chased women, I bought drugs. And that takes to me an exceptional man to sit there and admit to people, look, I did wrong. I mean, not everybody can do that. Narcissists certainly can't do that.
Nope.
They can't sit there and admit their failures and their shortcomings. And he was able to do that and admit it. And he will be an addict his whole life. This will be a battle and an evilness that he will fight his entire life. But to me, it was very. I was so glad to see him sitting there sober, with a straight mind, and being able to lay it out on the table and say, look, whether you believe me or not, I really don't care, but here's the truth, and I have nothing to lie about. It's just like the laptop thing and all of this stuff.
The way he broke down the laptop thing, I mean, I will tell you guys, anywhere you're listening to me or following Kurt or any of the other folks that are part of our show and our programming, this is worth the time, and maybe you can't watch it in its entirety, but pull up the Hunter Biden interview with this young kid on Channel 5 and listen to it in as many parts as of it that you can, because I think what's important to see in this is how he's able to dissect the things that took place, whether they be about that were taking place with him with the laptop, how many different times. I mean, he just did a laundry list off the top of his head of the different testimonies that he had to go through about this damn laptop. It was, I sat there and I had to replay that part and go, he listed them chapter and verse. Right. And so I said to myself, and I'm going to just put this to you as a question, but not so much rhetorically, but just the one for all of us to think about. Imagine having your mother and one of your siblings never be able to say good morning or good night to them ever again. And that happened to you when you were a child. and then growing up with the survivor's guilt of that, and then watching or having another member of your family die from brain cancer, from a tumor, and having to deal with that and deal with more survivor's guilt. You know, one has to ask himself, if there's any humanity and sensitivity and love, could you hold up to that? I mean, not you, Kurt, but I'm just saying a person would have to stop and ask themselves that question. Could you hold up to that without slipping away from, being centered in your life? I'm not. I'm gonna sit here and tell you, I can't tell you that I wouldn't have slipped. Not unlike Hunter Biden. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and Richard, what you just laid out hits home to me, because my daughter, when she was 17 months old, lost her mother to cancer. We lost my wife to cancer. So my daughter has lived a life without her mother and has never known her or anything. So I understand how somebody who has a void or a tragic loss in their life, or has to live through a life where there's an absent there, or what kind of effects it has on an individual. So I don't fault him at all. I think it's just amazing that he's able to stand and sit there with the courage that he's showing today through this all, and to fight back. I mean, because very easily he could have just went away and fell back into his old ways, but I think he wants to be a better man for it, and I think he wants to fight this, because that's the only thing that this guy has left is his reputation, and I don't know if he'll ever be able to get that back, because it was so severely tarnished, by people. That's what got me the whole time, is that here we had Marge Green and Jim Jordan sitting there judging somebody's character. And it's like, wow, you people are just,
and to bring those pictures, Marjorie Green bringing those pictures of him to the House floor. I mean, how disgusting is that? And then she took her
uncalled for
her behind into church on Sunday. She did. And now Jim Jordan, speaking of Jim Jordan, is having to you heard about that.
Right.
So where is the grace?
But that's an ongoing thing. Right. I mean, that's been going on.
Hunter Biden, to our knowledge, did not do anything with anyone underage. He did this to himself. He admits that. He's taken responsibility for it to the extent that he can. He wasn't, to your post, slapping around 13-year-old girls at Mar-a-Lago. Right. He wasn't doing that. All these other things that they can accuse him of and try to drag him with. The thing that he didn't do, to our knowledge, is he didn't do what the folks in this Epstein circle are being accused of. And so, I'm not trying to justify Hunter's behavior, but I'm also not going to judge it, because I would rather put out my hand and say, hey, man, what you went through, I mean, for a grown person to not have struggles with having lost those two people at an early age, and then to watch your brother go through the hell he went through. Come on, y'all. Come on. Come on.
But this is what MAGA does, and this is what you have to. I even hate saying this. This is what you got to give credit to them for, because boy, they stay on something and they do not let it up. No. And that's the one thing that Democrats, we fall short on. We have a tendency to talk about something for a while and then we let it go and then we move on. And it's just like the deal with the Mullett report, and I shared a video that was made in 2019 by Robert De Niro and a bunch of celebrities talking about the Mullett report and the collusion that occurred during the 2016 elections and the facts that it was shared in there. And everybody's commenting to me, why am I just not seeing this? Why didn't we see this before? I've never seen this before, and blah, blah, blah. Well, because it wasn't an issue to us back in 2019. We didn't think twice about it, did we?
Yeah.
We knew what happened in 2016, but we kind of let it go. And now here we are. Now it's being brought up because this guy is going after, Barack Obama, saying there's 1,000 documents that are proving that he was part of a.
But I
can't even talk about it, Richard. It's just so laughable.
I know.
But you know what? he may be barking up the wrong tree.
Well, you saw
Obama's
twice.
Not somebody I'd mess with.
You saw twice. Yeah, I said this the other day. Yeah, But and I want to throw out one more funny thing before we wrap up. But twice in the last week's time, Barack Obama has come back with something. One of them was the arrest, the AI arresting of President Obama that Trump put out there, which was BS, and then President Obama comes back with, well, here's some actual real video of a president of Donald Trump being arrested or arraigned, and then this posting, as he said, I don't normally go here, but out of respect to the presidency and the office, but here's the real deal, and so. Donald better be careful in this space because listen, they're not gonna try to arrest him. They may talk that trash, but that ain't gonna happen. In terms of arresting, it's not gonna happen.
Did you see what Lindsey Graham was on Fox? Did you see what's his face? I can't remember, the straw guy. Yeah. What he said? He said, "What do you think the chances are of these documents holding up in a court of law?" And Lindsey said, "About as likely as me playing in the NBA or something along those lines."
Exactly. Hey man, let me hit you with this as we wrap up. Someone sent me this, and I thought it was pretty cool. I believe in three things. I believe things happen always in threes. The sad part. Yesterday it was Malcolm Jamal Warner. Today it was Ozzy Osbourne. Come on, cholesterol. Mama needs something to happen in threes. Not to make light of us losing Ozzy and losing Malcolm Jamal Warner, but I get what this person is saying about cholesterol. Right. Hey, man, listen, as always, it's great to talk with you. There's so much more we could have talked about, but a shout out to both Ozzy and his great music and to Malcolm Jamal Warner.
And to Malcolm.
And the laughs that he provided. If you go back and look at some of the old Cosby episodes, and they're posting, a lot of people are posting things on, it's just what a talent he was. And whether you like Ozzy's music or not, the dude was he was a musical. He was pretty damn good. So we hate when we lose our celebrities.
That's actually true.
Yeah. All right, man.
It's sad. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. Had a great time. It always flies by with you. So
keep up
that's
the
a
good work.
Thing and a bad thing.
That's a good thing and a bad thing. Keep up the good work, Kurt. Yeah. Keep posting. We got your back. Make sure you guys are going to Who's Your Blue 63. Kurt Mullett is just killing it. Whatever social platform he's on, there's always something good. You should be liking him. You should be sharing him with folks that you know and folks you don't know. But thanks, Kurt, for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Richard. I appreciate it. You have a wonderful day.
I will. Talk to you soon. Bye now. All right, Henry, let's take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
This is Tony Moray. I'm an estate planning lawyer who drafts living trusts and wills. Since the election, I've been hearing from my clients, many of them fellow WCPT listeners. And we all wonder, how did this happen and what can we do? The how is, of course, very complicated. My thoughts as regard to what we can do is simple but important. We need to take extra care of those we love. Having an estate plan using either a living trust or will can provide comfort in uncertain times like these. When the progressive values we hold dear are under attack, I feel we must make sure that our personal lives are secure and then work out from there. I've been drafting estate plans for my clients for over 30 years, and I will use all of that experience to help you. Please call me at 847-996-0496. My website is moreylawoffice.com. That's Morey spelled M-O-R-E-E. Again, the phone is 847-996-0496. There is no cost or obligation for our initial discussion. I look forward to speaking with you.
That's the sound of the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program, saving you money and energy. With rebates on Energy Star appliances, so you can come back to a home full of savings. Discover more ways to save at ComEd.com/home savings. ComEd, powering lives.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. A heat advisory will go into effect here later today. We'll see mostly sunny skies here for today with a high in the mid-90s. Winds out of the southwest around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 20. And then for tonight, partly cloudy skies, a low near 78. By Thursday, we'll have a chance for showers and thunderstorms here late. Blend of clouds and sunshine develops high around 97 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 75.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk.
Hey, progressives, welcome back to the show. Of course, 773-763-9278 is our Credo mobile phone and text line. And it was great to have our man, Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63 on with us this morning. He is just, it's fun to talk with him because he has been so mindful of what people are craving right now when it comes to information and making it clear to people that we have to be willing to put information out there. We have to be not our own voice, but we have to be one of a voice of many that are talking about the things that we've got to lean into and make right for our communities. Oftentimes, pretty much every show we have a conversation around something that's national. But when we have a local conversation or conversation around something that's local, I see the connective thread to that on a national level. And one of those things happens to be safety and the importance of making sure that we talk about safety. It's not just about safety around things like gun violence or robberies and breaking and enterings and all that sort of stuff. It's also around transportation. Transportation, in a sense, if you guys remember back in April, we had on Illinois State Senator Sarah Feigenholtz, who was talking about the importance of just simply crossing a street, just simply walking down the streets of the city of Chicago in a safe way and biking down the streets in a safe way and being on scooters. Yesterday, thank gosh, I was paying attention. And it would have been the bikers' fault because they didn't follow some of the rules of engagement. But I'm in the 3,000-pound bullet, not the biker. So with us this morning is someone that is definitely for a long time been leaning into the conversation and has been a voice with State Senator Feigenholtz. And that would be Executive Director, Amy Rynell of, what's the organization, guys? What's it called? The Active Transportation Alliance. Amy, good morning and welcome to the show. And she's in studio with us, so that's even more fun. Amy, good morning. Welcome.
Welcome. Thanks for having me. And I had a beautiful bike here this morning before it got too hot.
There it is. And it's going to get hot today.
Yes.
And so listen, folks that are out today that are trying to prove something that they can ride their bike for 20 miles, take an extra bottle of water or hydration, please. It's already hot. It's going to get hot as you know what today. So part of biking safety is staying hydrated. Mm-hmm. But that's not what we're specifically here to talk about this morning. Amy, take us through some of the work that you're doing with Active Transportation Alliance and why it's so important and meaningful. And then we'll get into a few other topics in our short time this morning.
Thank you. So Active Transportation Alliance, we turned 40 this year.
I know.
And we have been working to create a region that is abundant with safe ways to get around by foot, by wheelchair, by scooter, by bike, by transit, be it a bus, a train, commuter rail. And we have made a lot of progress in our region, but we have a long way to go. So we have a bunch of campaigns that we're running to take us to the next stage, including Safe Streets for All. No matter how we get around, we should be able to get from A to B safely. We should be able to do it efficiently, reliably, affordably. And there's so much we need to do in our infrastructure and policy context to make that a reality. And our other big push that I think we'll spend some time talking about is public transit and the crisis that it's in and how we move forward in making it the system we all deserve.
So let's start with that, and then we'll work our way back to some of the more personal or small nuances when it comes to walking safety, biking safety, and scooter safety and all that. Because but so let's talk about where we are with our transportation systems.
So with public transit, which in our region includes our buses, our paratransit, our CTA rail, our Metro rail, our suburban bus system, that system has been heading towards a fiscal cliff. It is running out of money for operations. That is fuel for the vehicles, staffing, all the sorts of things you need on a day-to-day basis to keep transit going. There's a lot of things that have contributed to the system hitting this financial crisis, which is of a very large magnitude. By 2027, it'll be over $1 billion of an annual gap in money. A big piece of it is the federal government no longer pays for transit operations. So we can get support from the federal government for some of our rail build-outs, our infrastructure, vehicles, but they don't fund the people to run it. Mm-hmm. So that's a big deal. The other big contributing factor is the state of Illinois has not invested in our regional system in the way other states do. And so the time has come for the state to invest more. So about 17% of the operating dollars that our region gets is from the state, even though transit is a key part of our state's economy. Mm-hmm. That is why businesses locate here, and it is just vital. So there's a lot of things contributing to it.
I've had a couple people that have said to me, because you may know, once a month we have the blessing of having Mayor Brandon Johnson on. Let me position it this way. Some people have said to me, Richard, you need to nail the mayor on why he's not fixed the transportation system in the city of Chicago. He's not getting the job done when it comes to fixing the transportation system in the city of Chicago. Well, I look at that and say our transportation system is Chicago is the hub, if you want to say, geographically and regionally. However, it's a bigger conversation than just that. And it didn't just start 2 years ago when Brandon Johnson became mayor of the city of Chicago, but that doesn't change the fact that it's still a problem. But so Amy, walk us through as best you can. We're going to have this conversation again. We're going to have you back, and largely because of what you said about the importance to businesses when it comes to this region and transportation. But walk us through as best you can the federal, the state, and the quote local conversation and how you see it. And when you sit back and go, damn, and you probably don't do that, but I do, and I put words in your mouth. I made her laugh, y'all, in case you can't see her. She's laughing at that. See, there you go. I got her to laugh on the mic, but now she's blushing a little bit. But so help us with that.
One of the things I'm grateful for is that our leaders in Congress from Illinois, transportation is in their blood. They are fighting to make the federal context better for Illinois. And we've gotten a lot out of that over the years. We're not expecting to get a lot in this moment. But the federal government's been a really important partner. And we have the leaders in Congress representing our state that know how important transit is. So I do have some hope for the future. When it comes to one of the fundamental challenges of the moment, and going back to the mayor, our system is in name regional. Mm-hmm. It is in ridership regional, but it is not in structure regional. So by that I mean we have all these different transit agencies with their separate boards that operate separately. But as a rider, for example, a week ago, I biked to the Jefferson Park hub. Mm-hmm. I hopped on Metro to head out west. Then I came back in, hopped on CTA, went to another meeting, came back on CTA, and hopped back on my bike. So I traveled across many geographic boundaries. CTA provides 30% of our suburban bus service. 40% of PACE riders transfer to CTA. 30% of metro stations are in the city. But we've said Metro's commuter rail for the suburbanites. We've said PACE is a suburban bus service and CTA is a city bus service. But in reality, how it operates, it's not that at all. So it's not just on the mayor. The mayor's a piece of it, but it is our regional leadership. And that's why the state role is really important, because it transcends those geographic boundaries.
A lot of people don't know that, and that's one of the reasons we're going to have you back again. A light bulb just went off in my brain, so thank you for that. And Henry's nodding as well, because a lot of people don't get that, but they do it. I mean, like they don't stop and go, because Henry uses, and I'm not putting Henry's business in the street, but Henry uses public transportation. And I saw his head nodding when you were describing the one system, other system, but you didn't go 50 miles away. Maybe you did, but the point is a lot of people don't understand that structure. We just take the transportation that we need. One of the beauties of the folks in our region, all of us, is that most folks who use public transportation are amazing to me. I've got a what's it called, a venture card. I rarely use it. My wife teases the hell out of me about not using the bus more often and this, that, and the other. And she's right. But she's a savant when it comes to the buses. I can say, so if I wanted to take the bus or take this, she said, well, you do this, in and out of the system. And I didn't really realize that consciously. And I think a lot of folks in the region don't necessarily either. They just do it.
Yes. Yeah. If you're a super user, a regular user, you get used to all that. But we haven't made it easy for people who are not frequent users, or for people who, like me, I don't take Metro very often. So it's clumsy. It's challenging. So we have a ways to go in unifying the system, making the fare structure aligned, making that Ventra card work for all the systems in a way that's not so hard. So there is legislation pending.
So the lack of funding, this cliff that we're headed toward, again, I know it's a big question, but what do we start to do to start to chip away at that deficit?
So about 3-ish, maybe longer now, years ago, the legislature passed a law that directed the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning to create a plan for transit. They saw the fiscal cliff coming. They knew with COVID, things had changed. They knew that riders were really unhappy with the experience they were having on transit. And so they said, let's do a plan. So for a year, 16,000 hours of work, many committees across the region and types of work created a plan. And so that plan has served as a blueprint for legislation to say, let's fix our system and let's fund our system. And it lays out, how do we make our system safer? How do we speed up our buses? I want to talk about buses.
Okay.
How do we make our fares easier? How do we have a system that's more transparent and accountable to the public? And that is regional and doesn't act like a rider in Chicago only stays in Chicago on the trains. So there is legislation that's passed the Senate that includes a whole bunch of improvements to the system, as well as an additional $1.5 billion to invest in it. So now it's on to the House to take up and for everyone to get across the finish line.
Okay. And we're going to talk about, let's talk about buses, and then we'll come back and I'll ask you this other question, because I know you said you wanted to talk about, let's talk about buses for a moment.
The backbone of our system, most of us are taking buses, but people don't talk about buses when they think about transit. They think about the CTA rail and how cool it is. Buses are our most local form of transportation. We are in a moment where many other cities have made buses sexy again. They have sped them up through changing the infrastructure. It's called bus rapid transit. You change the street design a little, and you give that bus priority on the street, priority with the signals, priority on the space. And what that does, by speeding up buses, you can run more buses.
Got it.
And it makes it more accessible to folks and reliable. So we see it in Milwaukee, Madison, Grand Rapids, Indianapolis, Boston, New York have all done this, and we are behind on doing things like that.
To use to use a phrase that you're familiar with, and it certainly comes from being my mom and dad, are we just being hard-headed here in the city of Chicago, the county, and the state?
It's a lot of layers of government.
So because if Boston can do it,
yeah,
I mean, we sure as heck should be able to do it.
And it requires a partnership
and that's
with
not
our
knocking
roadway.
Boston. I'm just saying they're technically a smaller city than we are.
Yeah.
Sorry, in a region.
You know, we share old infrastructure, and theirs is even older.
Okay.
So if they can do it, we can do it, you know?
So Amy, I didn't mean to look away from you because I'm getting a lot of, I knew I would get some pretty interesting communication. All right. So here's the question. Speeding up the buses, I put the initials down, BRT, Bus Rapid Transit.
Yeah.
Is it realistic?
Yes, yeah. So CTA has been working on this. They have a plan. They've identified 5 corridors where it's most likely, to be the first wave of work. PACE has done this in different ways. They have bus on shoulder on the highways. Mm-hmm. As well as the PACE pulse routes. So you can get now from Evanston to O'Hare, people are so excited about that, on a much, much faster bus. So we can do it.
We need a roadway that goes from the North Shore corridor of Evanston, Sheridan Road across. That's not a streetway, but a roadway. I mean, a big roadway, but that's just me. I've been saying that for years. We also need to, at 22nd and Lakeshore Drive, where you come from King Drive, is to figure out a way to cut through there so people can access Lakeshore Drive from Martin Luther King Drive, because I think there's a way to do that. I might be crazy again, but, I'm just looking at the potential things that we could do.
Well, there's that by McCormick Place. There's that busway, that taxiway, or whatever that is just waiting to be developed for transit.
Okay, then I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, Amy, I can't wait to have you back because we haven't really gotten into talking about bikes and scooters and walking and all that, because I really want to talk a little bit about the politics of this, respectfully. Have you seen more success with transportation betterment under Democratic, Republican, or bipartisan conversations? What's your observation? And I'm not asking you to pick sides. I'm just saying, I asked the question. I'll shut up and listen.
Illinois is really interesting. We're a very big state, very long. And we have definitely prioritized road building. And the road building ecosystem, unions and industry have a lot of political power. And as a result, Illinois has some statistics like we have almost the same amount of roadway per capita as Texas.
No kidding.
And things like that just don't make sense for Illinois. Of course we need roadways, but we have prioritized roadways versus other ways of getting around.
Okay. All right. I get it. So who are some of your allies? I always ask the question when I'm talking with groups that are doing the work that you're doing and taking on this task and partnering with so many folks, allies that you have, both politically and in the private sector.
The Chicago City Council passed a resolution maybe in May supporting the state legislation to reform and fund transit. And they had a really broad base of support coming out of City Council, which was really important. The city can't do this alone. So we appreciated that. And there's some leaders in City Council for whom transit is just part of their DNA. Mm-hmm. In the state legislature, we in the bill that passed the Senate on the very last day of session, there were affirmative votes from obviously folks in the city, folks in Cook County, but then we had someone from every Collier County. We had Rock Island. We had Champaign-Urbana. We had folks from around the state saying we need to give people more affordable, equitable choices. Transit's a key piece of this. Obviously, it's not for everywhere, and it's not for all the time, but it is something that that's part of Illinois' future, both because of climate, but also because we want people to stay here. We want people to age in place. We don't want people driving when they can't drive. And transit's a piece of many different types of solutions.
Yeah, and then to that point about staying here, one of the things that you've seen the different surveys that we've come out, meaning Chicago, on very high ranking from, like Condé Nast has said the last few years, the success of one of the success points of Chicago and why it's a great city and why the region's a great region is because we do have a fairly good transportation system. But the word that I think folks like you and to some extent me and my thinking on this is let's take the word fairly out of it and make it great. Let me stay away from making it great, but let's make it a superb system, and we have the tools to do it. I know that federally right now, we aren't on the list of communities that are going to get the support that's needed. But if you, and you probably have, but if you were to have Mayor Johnson, the county presidents, and the largest one being Cook and Ms. Preckwinkle, the Senate leader and the House leader and Lieutenant and Governor in a room, and you could say to them on this topic, this is what I see, good, bad, and indifferent, and this is what I think is our way forward, what would that conversation look like?
We need action now. That's probably the top line message. Where we're at is because the legislature didn't pass things completely in May, the transit agencies are now having to plan for cuts. They have to present a balanced budget. So this is their budget starting in January. The magnitude of cuts, about a 40% service cut. That means could mean, we won't do this, but the magnitude is such that we'd eliminate all train lines except blue and red. We would eliminate so many bus routes. For Metra, what's really important to know about Metra is a lot of their service operates on train lines they don't control, those tracks. That's industry. And so if Metra gives up a slot, they are not guaranteed to get it back. So a cut on Metra could be a protracted cut. Years of trying to get back that time slot from freight. So,
and guys, you understand, and Amy, take 30 seconds to explain that part, because I think a lot of people may not understand that. Go ahead. Sorry.
Our rail system right now, so you see, if you're riding Metro, you see the UP North. Well, UP owns those tracks. And so Metra essentially has to get permission from the UP and partner and negotiate with them to run service on their rail. This happens across the country. It's not an easy thing, and it's not a guarantee. We have not invested in rail in a way that allows Metra to just run what it needs to do. Some of the cool things that we can do with a little more money is, for Metra, for example, run regional rail. So instead of stopping at Ogilvie, keep going and head up to the North Shore or head out west and connect our communities that way. People love Metra. They love chilling, Yeah,
I do. I must admit, I do enjoy taking the train to regionally throughout, and even into northwestern Indiana and Michigan. And I've always loved taking the train. But anyhow, this just says, because of time, that we've got to have you back and keep talking about this, because it is an issue that impacts us. It's I've used this phrase a number of times, Amy, where people want to deny climate. You mentioned the climate impact. That's another part of this conversation. But I've said to so many folks that you, me, and 8 other people could be standing at the corner of Michigan and Ohio, and those 8 other folks could deny that climate change is a reality. But what's certain is that all 10 of us are breathing the same air at the same time. I look at our transportation in the area kind of in a similar way. We all are impacted by it, whether we take the bus, we take the train, we take a taxi or Uber, or we drive. Better roads means better for everybody, and the list goes on and on. So I wanted to kind of give a little bit of that preamble to say this, to ask you this question. On a national level, are we behind nationally? I know there's cities that are doing great, but as a nation, how do you see where we are in that space when it comes to transportation?
So transportation, is the number one source of GHG emissions in Illinois. When we look over time, I looked 30 to 40 years back recently, transportation is the only sector getting worse. And that is because we've been essentially divesting from transit, which is a core climate solution when it comes to transportation. And we have built our roadways such that they are unsafe and unfriendly to bicyclists. So for a lot of folks who could get around on a zero carbon transportation, we have said, but you're going to put your life at risk. And so we just have to make some different policy decisions that in the long run are not really very expensive, that unlock the potential to cool down our city.
Yeah.
All this concrete, this is heating up our city. We are investing in an impermeable surface that creates a heat island, So we have some options to use our space differently and really lean into lowering our temperatures.
How can folks find you as we wrap up today?
We are at www.activetrans.org. We have a blog that you can follow, also on the social media handles if you want to get engaged in transit walking and biking.
And we may not have any back before this big event that takes place and that's the Back to Drive. 10 seconds.
I would love to see you all August 31st on Lakeshore Drive. We shut down 30 miles of a U.S. highway to bicycling, and we see people all across this region and nation coming to enjoy a slow roll across our beautiful lakefront.
One of the other great things that our city and our area does, and that's bring folks in, and we've got to keep leaning into this in this conversation. Amy, thank you so much for being with us this morning. I can't wait to have you back because we're going to talk about this again and some of the other pieces that we mentioned when we get into. We'll talk about bike safety and all that. We didn't get a chance to talk about that today, but I know you wanted to lean into some of the other topics. Guys, thanks for being with us this morning. Thanks to my man Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63 for landing his plane with us this morning. Thanks to my man Henry for keeping us on the rails, and thanks to you guys for always being with us. This is Choose Views, and as always, take a deep breath and make your life count. We'll see you tomorrow.
Is your upper floor too hot in the summer? Are energy bills climbing with every degree? Green Attic can help. With over 15 years of experience and more than 1,000 five-star reviews, Green Attic is a trusted Chicagoland name for insulation, ventilation, and roofing solutions that improve comfort, energy efficiency, and indoor air quality. They specialize in attic insulation, spray foam, crawl space encapsulation, mold remediation, and solar attic fan installation, all designed to keep your home cooler in the warmer months. Green Attic also offers full-service roofing through Green Attic Roofing, including traditional and solar roofing systems with instant online quotes and long-lasting, eco-friendly materials. Green Attic backs its work with the industry